Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Cal Royal part number 301/302. This is a door closer arm, and this is a hold open style door closer arm. Just want to get it out of the packaging so we can take a little closer look at it. This is in the Duro finish. And it is a friction hold open, is what it is. Okay, hold open closers from their 300 series. This also works in the 400 series as well. Yeah, I don't see specific hold open installation instructions here. Oh, I do. Forgive me. Yeah, they are most certainly listed here. The issue is that they don't indicate the degree of where to set the closer for a particular point of hold open. Yeah, we'll study that. Let's do a visual tour of the item first. This is a, you're going to get the arm itself, which will consist of the main arm. Well, actually, no. This is the main arm. From the closer to the elbow, and then the forearm. The forearm is the friction hold open portion of it, okay? So friction hold open door closers, certainly at one time, used to be quite typical, quite common. It was the way to hold open a door. However, the problem with friction style hold open arms is there's no way, if it's a fire rated door, for it to be automatically or to close upon, upon signal, for it to know when to close. It's just a friction style hold open arm. And how these work is that as I slide the bracket, which is emulating the door opening and closing, if I get to the point where the two pieces draw together, they get tight. And there's a washer that's inside of there, a disc, like a bronze disc. And you basically set the degree of hold open, and it's not based on where you place the closer on the door, as it is how you tighten this nut. So you would use a very large crescent wrench, really, for getting that on there, and then setting your door to the point of hold open, and then tightening the nut so that when you pushed it, you got friction and resistance, and that's where it stopped. That's your hold open. Then you would pull the door closed, and that's how it would work. The downside of these is, other than the fact that they're certainly not approved for fire-rated doors, is that it certainly stresses the door and frame a lot. And I've had customers come in with a hold-open arm that they seized because someone took the door and pushed it so severely, or the wind, ripped the door open so severely that we would literally take the arm and put it into a vise and bring a big piece of pipe over the entire arm that was 3 foot long and try to lever it that way. And we've always gotten them open. It's just, when it's seized that severely, I don't know how, I don't know if the closer arm is going to be very reliable at that point. This client who ordered this, he has a aluminum storefront opening, and it's not fire rated at all. Does want the ability to hold open, doesn't want anything mounted to the door because he doesn't want anything kicking down. Or a door stop and holder mounted outside, and the closer arm is what he wanted. And limited by the closer that he already had, our options were correspondingly limited to a friction style. Now, this is non-handed. This will give me friction when I rotate it this way for a particular swing of door, and if I need it to go the other way, I flip this over, then it'll give me friction in the other way. So on one orientation, the nut is up. On the other orientation, the nut is down, facing down, is what I mean by that. This will include the parallel arm bracket, and generally parallel arm brackets for hold open closers are particular to the hold open. meaning that they're not the same hold open bracket as you would have on a non-hold open closer. So if you're going to do if you're doing a hold open arm, be sure to order the parallel arm bracket if you are mounting it in a parallel arm fashion. Because what changes is this, not that it's for sure different, but it's most likely different. The center to center of those screws is what changes. Okay. Fasteners are going to be included in a complementary finish. Wood screws and machine screws. That will allow you to get the job done. You'll need 5, 6, 7, 8, total of 8 screws at least to do the job. That funny screw for the arm to the closer body is there and included. That's the one you don't want to lose with the flat washer, with the fender washer. Don't lose that one. Now let's take a closer look at those installation instructions. Okay, so the item that we're looking at is here, and by the time you're seeing this video, there will be links below this video to the installation instructions and to the product brochure and the cut sheet. So first of all, the cut sheet, this closer arm shows up in the 300 series from Cal Royal, and I have been using the 300. I have sold container loads of this closer, I think, over the years, 25 years for sure. I've never had one fail. It does everything I want. It's barrier-free compliant. It is a full cover. I order it with all the bells and whistles. I order it with delayed action. I order it with the full cover. Here, cover. I order it barrier-free, cover, and the delayed action as well. And it does everything. Great closer. So as we scroll through, this would be in the product catalog. It shows up in the 300 series, and then it shows up in our 400 series as well. 400 series is a sized closer series. Okay, so back in the old days, someone would just ask for a size 3 closer. This is what they're talking about. I don't do a lot of 400 because it's a sized closer, and what I should have said earlier is that the 300 is a non-sized closer, adjustable, multi-size, okay, full feature closer. The 300 and the 400 product brochures are there. They have the same cut sheet, however, as it applies to the arm that we're looking at, the 301/302. So that's your arm, non-handed, forged steel, hold open arm, and parallel bracket. They don't show that in this picture, but it is included. Then there's the link to the third link. Before we move on, other options should you need to. Parallel arm brackets alone, and as I said earlier, how that parallel arm bracket is different for a hold open arm, and it certainly is very much so in this series with this triangular shaped. They don't, again, show the parallel arm for this series. The track is a new option for me. I've never seen them offering a track option in the 300, which is nice because a slide track is nice because what that allows us to do is to get into an opening, okay, where you can, say your door is here. You can take that door closer body and pop it here, and you can put your track right here, and that will connect together. Nice and elegant the way it looks. You can also pop that sucker out here. You can put that track up here. Same scenario, connected together. Okay, it's nice looking because what you don't have is a door closer body. Okay, with an arm, a big giant arm hanging out there. A lot more petite. I like that slide track. You generally will have to increase the spring tension on a slide track closer, but that's, you know, being multi-sized, it's not going to be a problem. So let's move to the installation instructions that are linked to down below. And standard installation instructions generally require not more than 4 pages. There's 6 to this one, and it's because they use a couple of pages and give us, you know, valuable information. And what they're doing on page 1 is they're defining for us what are the 3 standard ways to mount a door closer. There are more than 3, but you're really dealing with bracketing at that point. Regular arm is when the closer body is mounted on the door and the arm is up on the header and you're on the pull side. A top jam is when you literally flip the closer over and then go to the other side of the door. Body on the header, arm is on the door, and now you're on the, I believe I said push side for regular arm. That's wrong. You're on the pull side. I meant to say pull side. Then you're on a push side on a top jam. With a parallel arm, you stay on the push side, but then the body is on the door and the arm and the parallel arm bracket are on the soffit of the header. So it's nice to be able to define the different ways that when we speak of how to install a closer, these are the definitions. A second page, so you'll have a page in the installation instructions dedicated to each of these 3. So that's 3 pages right there. You've got a cover page. They generally include components and a definition maybe, or components and how to set it. But you've got your components, and this is just the arm only, so we're dealing with this. And then you've got your parallel arm bracket here. Then we get into the 3 pages of regular arm, top jam, and parallel arm. Okay. What's important to know about this, if you were, and this video is not on a closer installation, but this video is pertaining to the hold open arm. And what's important is once you've defined what installation you have, this client has a top jam that we're selling him the arm only. I've seen the photographs. So what this client needs to do is to go right to the top jam section. But for you and me, what's important to point out is on every page, this is regular arm, on every page they're showing us for a right hand arm, as I said earlier, hold open nut is towards up, hold open nut down. Same with the top jam. It'll have the same definition. And you'll notice up for a left hand, up for a right hand, down for a left hand. It's opposite. So that's why we have to be mindful to observe how that arm is going to work. I've had people call me and say, hey, it never, you know, when the door is closed, it's kind of hard to get it open, and then the hold open never engages. That's because they've got the arm upside down, which you don't want to do because you've already drilled holes. So, you know, be mindful of that. And what I mean by that is where you're going to place 1 in 21/30 seconds for the arm shoe from the, what I'm imagining to be the top of the, yeah, I don't care for this. I don't know what my reference point is. Top of the door or the underside of the header. I'm going to go with top of the door. But when we get up to the regular arm, 1 in 21/30 seconds is now a very different scenario. Okay, whatever we're referencing off of, 1.25 inches over here. So how you're going to mount it is going to be based on, you know, the type. Having it set incorrectly the issue with that is they're obviously planning on a little bit of flexibility, and you certainly do have that if you had to flip it over, because they don't really show it very well. But in the arm itself, let's go back to the product catalog right here. This is a pivot point here, so this can flex, can shift up and down a little bit to compensate for all of, you know, whether or not you have to flip that over. But the point is this is how you're going to attach the arm with the nut up or down. Then for parallel arm, it will have the same sort of installation instructions. Okay, and you know what I like to do is just be mindful that the arm on a parallel arm is pointed away from the hinges. On a top jam and a regular arm mount, it's perpendicular. The forearm is perpendicular, And on a parallel arm, the main arm is basically parallel to the face of the door, so parallel arm mount. So now you have the 3 instances of if the nut is up or down, and then they will get into closer adjustment on the final page. Okay, so closer adjustment components and definitions. You know, you could do closer components and definitions on one page, and then closer components and adjustment, I mean to say, on one page. That will allow you to understand the closer, because if you're installing an arm, you're obviously bringing a closer back up to working, which means you'll need to probably look at the valves and how to set them. The other common mistake that installers make, and I have made it as well, is that the end of the closer is attached to the wrong, it is attached incorrectly on the door, meaning your latch and closing speed valves need to be on the hinge side for one type and on the strike side for another type. So simply be mindful to follow the installation instructions, because it all changes based on the installation. Power adjustment nut on a parallel arm bracket is towards the hinges. The power adjustment nut on the top jamb is towards the strike. And then also towards the strike as well on the regular arm. Okay, let's wrap up this video. And generally what I find also is when people are setting these, you do, unfortunately, the days of there being a stamped steel wrench for these are long gone. So you're going to need to put some thought into how to best and appropriately effect change on that nut. You need to get the tool attached to it. The width across the flats, if you had the ability to, if the conditions were right and you could put a socket on it, 0.94 inch across the flats, 0.94. The point is, once you strip that nut, you've got a problem, because you're going to need to adjust this over time. The friction point with the open and then close, and open and close, it does creep a little bit over time, so you'll need to adjust it. Start off with having a good fitting wrench. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Cal Royal products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. This will be available in dark bronze, aluminum, and brass as well, I'm sure, meaning a sprayed brass. No plated finishes in that 300 or 400 series, that's for sure. Let's see if they mention finishes in the cut sheet. They certainly do in the price list. It's here. So in a 300, they do have the aluminum, dark bronze, gold, and then US3. And US3, of course, stands for polished brass. The issue with that will be, do they offer the arm in polished brass? Let's take a look, just so that we know. You don't do polished brass door closers very often, but just yesterday I was asked to specify a couple. 301. .301, 302. Well, they certainly list it. Hold open arm, I'm going to say that you're not going to get this arm in a plated brass. Would be my guess. I'm so convinced of it that I will assume that the hold open arm won't be available in polished brass. However, that could be incorrect, and if you do need it in polished brass, I'll be happy to check. That link below this video to the manufacturer's page will allow you to pull up all of the Cal Royal products we sell, a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the 301//302 hold open friction style arm? And again, not approved for fire-rated doors, so don't put it on a fire door, or any other Cal Royal product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.